Hey Goon Squad, what's up?
Some
Today,
goodness.
So,
today we're gonna be reacting to some moral dilemmas. We have not watched this video before. This is our live
yeah,
reaction.
this
You
is
will
our
get
first
our live
reaction.
answers.
Mm-hmm.
So enjoy.
You pass someone in the street who is in severe need, and you are able to help them at little cost to yourself. Are you morally obliged to do so? Now, you might be surprised at how I answer this question. I've spoken a lot about the ethics of charity and the ethics of
I feel like that's a dumb. I feel like that's a dumb question.
Yeah,
feel like
I
you
don't
kinda got
know. Because, like,
it.
are you morally obliged? Hold on.
Yes, bro. What?
You pass on the street who's in severe need. Oh, if it's severe need, then yeah.
It's like probably like someone like dying of thirst.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'll call the ambulance. Like, that's not any cost to me. Call the ambulance, like, whatever. Like, that's just
You can give them like some. Food
that's a
or some shit,
human,
yeah.
like, thing to do. I thought that's crazy.
at little cost to yourself. Are you morally obliged to do so? Now, you might be surprised at how I answer this question. I've spoken a lot about the ethics of charity and the ethics of reducing suffering where we can, especially with relation to veganism. And so you might think that I can quite simply answer this question by saying, yes, if you're in a circumstance where you can help someone who's severely in need at a comparatively low cost to yourself, you should always be obligated to do so. But we must consider the implication of the word obligated or obliged here. To say that you're obliged to do something is to say that it is wrong of you not to do it. In any circumstance like this, where someone's suffering severely and you can help them at little cost to yourself, it is always wrong of you not to do so. Now, you may think this is true. You might think, of course it would be wrong of me not to help someone in severe need right in front of me at little cost to myself. But we must consider the implications of this. You could just open a tab, go to a charity like Oxfam, donate some money, and have a very real effect on people whose lives
Opinion's
are
not changing.
severely in need of help. But here's the problem.
Yeah, but
if we
I
say
don't
that
be
if you find yourself in a situation
I know y'all don't be donating, and I know I don't be donating.
I've got the money to
I feel
donate
like that's
yet.
kind of hypocritical. I feel like this is
Yeah, a little bit.
hypocritical of us. So
where you can help someone who is severely in need at a comparatively lower cost to yourself, it is wrong for you. Every time that situation comes about, you are obliged to help them. It is wrong for
Don't
you
say
not
every
to help
time.
them. And we have to consider that there is never a time that you are not in that situation. Right? Because of the fact that charities exist and they operate 24/7, you can always be donating money, and the fact that there is an endless supply of suffering people on planet Earth, you are never not in this situation. You are always in the situation where you can help somebody by a significantly less cost to yourself by donating some money to these charities.
kinda
If we say
stupid
that
now.
you're
It's kinda
morally
cooking.
No,
obligated,
It's kinda
I'm
cooking
good.
morally
us a little bit.
obligated in any situation where someone is suffering severely and you can help them at comparatively little cost to yourself, to help them. If you say that that is a moral obligation, then that means whenever you find yourself in that circumstance, that's what you have to do.
I feel that there's, like, different levels to it, though. Like, if someone's bleeding on the sidewalk, I feel like I'm more obligated to help them than, like, right now and donate to a charity.
I feel like time is also one of those like costs to you. Like, do you have the time to always donate,
Right.
like, constantly donate? I feel like he's not taking that into account. 'Cause
Yeah.
that is a cost. To you.
Yeah.
Money is a cost.
How do we kind of square these intuitions that we feel? Well, I think this all has to do with the wording of the question. Right, the question asks, you pass someone in the street who is in
Yeah,
severe
exactly.
need, and you
Well,
are
like
able
on
to help them
charity.
at little cost to yourself. Are you morally obliged to do so? Now, I would say that although we have an obligation to kind of, as much as we practically can, help those who are suffering at little cost to ourselves, we can't say that in any given situation you will have a moral obligation to help them in that situation. I think you're morally obliged to help, because if you do, you're led to this conclusion where you can basically never do anything ever again because you're spending your entire life giving money to charity. So we can say that you have a general moral obligation to sufficiently help the suffering, but it doesn't follow that in literally every situation. Does that mean that every so often I can have a bit of steak or, have some eggs or something
You've lost
because,
me.
I have a general
Doing,
obligation
bro?
not to cause suffering, but I don't have to do it in every given situation? No, these are different. And the difference here is that in one case, you are committing harm, and in the other case, you're allowing harm to continue or to happen. So when you pass someone in the street and they're severely suffering and you can help them, but you don't, you allow them to suffer. You don't cause them to suffer. Whereas when you buy an animal product, you are literally the reason why animals will be being killed and tortured and harmed, because by paying for this stuff, you're demanding that it continue. It's not the same as
He's lost me. I don't know what he's talking
No,
about.
I kind of get it, though. He's saying, like, allowing harm isn't the same as causing harm. One, like, you're spectating it, and the other, you're just, like, you're the doer of it. I understand
I feel like
that.
that's complex. I feel like that's a little complex. It's like
Well, I mean, it is
I don't
complex,
think it's that
though.
black and white.
I don't know.
What you think? Okay, thank you.
Ask of a person.
That's
So
good.
with those caveats in place, I think I have to go with
Oh.
not obliged. Question number 2. You have a brother. You know that someone has been seriously injured as a result of criminal activity undertaken by him. You live in a country where the police and legal system are generally trustworthy. Are you morally obliged to inform them about your brother's crime? My intuition here...
Why no? You just don't think so?
I don't know. Like, it depends on the relationship that you have.
Wait, hold on. I want to see this question one more time. Seriously injured. Someone has been seriously injured because of
You
his
you
criminal
have a
activity.
brother, and someone has been seriously. I mean,
What's it mean by injured though? Like was
all right. Let's give a situation here. So you have a brother. Imagine he got into a car crash with some friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't his fault, but like
So it
no,
wasn't.
no. It wasn't his fault, but he's getting blamed for it. But like like what happened. I wouldn't say that you are obliged to come forward. I feel like that's on him.
But I would have to come forward anyways about like if I think he did it.
Right.
But
But if it's something like he went out, like committed arson, and like cops don't know about it, and like, you don't agree with that, obviously, then like I feel like you are obliged. What do you think, Jack?
I told you my opinion.
you said not. Why?
Cause
why?
you don't gotta snitch.
I think we're weekly obliged at
Are you morally
Yeah,
obliged
weekly.
to inform them about your brother's crime? My intuition here says yes. Of course, one can psychologically understand why it would be more difficult for someone to turn in their brother or a family member that they care about, but I think the question is getting at this idea that, considering that generally speaking, if we know someone has committed a serious crime that is worthy of being punished, we should turn them in. Can we allow ourselves to make an exception because if it's our family member, it's so difficult for us to turn them in? No, I don't buy this for a second. I don't think it matters if this person is your brother or your mother or just a stranger on the street. If they've committed a crime that genuinely deserves punishment, then I think you do have a
Yeah,
moral obligation to report
Yeah.
that.
I don't think he's talking about car crashes that he wasn't at fault for. Like that's not criminal activity.
Yeah.
That's accusing of a crime, but it's not criminal activity. He's talking about definite criminal activity. Like,
Yeah.
Like something serious, like assault, maybe. Or I think you're obliged. I think most likely. you're
Strongly obliged or weakly obliged?
I haven't decided yet.
I think it's trying to get at this idea that is there some difference between turning in a stranger and turning in your brother? And I have to say that no, there isn't, in my view.
There shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Question 4. You are able to help some people, but unfortunately you can only do so by harming other people. The number of people harmed will always be 10% of those helped. When considering whether it is morally justified to help, does the actual number of people involved make any difference? For example, does it...
I gotta read this. I gotta
yeah.
read this myself. I'm not following.
All right, so it's saying like, would you help 10 people to harm one?
No.
Yeah, I think it goes
because that puts you at fault for harming
right.
those
Yeah, I
people.
think it goes back to the first question where it's like, are you causing the harm or are you letting the harm happen? And in this case,
You're
you're harming. Yeah, you're
kinda
harming
causing-
someone.
you
So-
know people are going to be harmed, but
Right.
you're still doing it, even though it benefits more people.
Yeah.
I don't think that excludes the people who are already being harmed.
Yeah.
What you think?
I think
It's a good question, actually.
Come
if
closer.
it's like, I think you guys don't know ratios, and I think it does make a difference.
You think so?
Yes, those people don't matter. That one person that dies compared to those 10 people.
It's hello.
But put yourself in their shoes. What if you're the one person chosen?
That's too bad. People die every day, bro.
Okay, bro.
make a difference if you're helping 10 people by harming one person rather than helping 100,000
I don't know
people
about that, Jack.
by
Yeah,
harming
that's a little-
10,000.
Yeah.
True, though.
This question is absolutely fascinating, right? You may have thought, as I thought when I first read this, that the
Think
question
about it,
was
if
about to
you're
ask
saving 10 people.
whether it's permissible to harm some people to help a larger number of people. But that's not what it's asking.
That's 10
it's
people,
saying,
like,
does it make
you
a
could've-
difference
there's 10 people
if
gonna die.
you're harming one
But like, what are you helping them from? Is my question. Like
It's situational. I feel
It's
like
saving them.
I
like-
don't think it says that though. It says helping, like maybe like giving them food or something. But you're harming other people. You're starving other people.
Well, you could have.
Well, like, I feel like, all right,
I think it's like the trolley problem. You know the trolley problem?
Yes,
Like
yeah.
Kill 5 people or let one person die.
Well, no, that's
you-
I think that's different
but-
because then you're making the decision to kill another person. That's
But
I feel like a different.
If you
dilemma.
keep yourself from making the decision, it relieves you of all obligation.
right
From all like the
yeah.
fault.
Well, with the
when
trolley
you
problem,
decide to interfere, that becomes your fault. It becomes
right.
That's what I'm thinking. Those people you're saving, they're already harmed, and it's just the way it's been.
Yeah.
Even though I'd like to help them, I don't want to harm other people just to save those people. They're not any more special than the people who are being harmed.
rights. For example, if you're a utilitarian, and utilitarians famously have trouble grounding rights because they only care about the consequence. They have a much less strong view of rights than a deontologist might, right? A deontologist might say that you have particular rights, like a right to life, a right to liberty, that cannot be infringed upon, right? No matter the circumstances, you have rights that cannot be violated. Whereas a utilitarian might say that what we care about is not the protection of people's rights, but the maximization of pleasure, right? And so if you're a utilitarian, all that really matters is the calculus. It's the calculation of balancing pleasure over pain. And so if both situations in terms of their calculation are the same, it's like you harm 10% of the people to help 90% of the people, I don't think it matters how much you scale this up or down. For the utilitarian, they run the calculation, they find out that the proportion is going to be the same, the proportion of people helped to harmed, and because it's just about the consequence, for the utilitarian, I don't think it would make a difference. If you harm one person to save 10 people, you're equally justified to harm 10,000 people to save 100,000 people. It's the same thing.
That's like my thing. I'm like, you have the right to like life, liberty, pursuit of happiness. It's your pursuit of happiness. It's your life that you got to make the decision. If someone else is making the decision for you and helping you and harming others, that becomes their decision. Your rights become their decision.
Yeah, I feel like it's just situational. Like if we're talking about like if you were to ask me like a different ratio and say like 1 million kids will get food, but 1 kid will starve.
All right,
I'm gonna
but that's
pick,
not the question though.
right. It's
It's
10
10
times. So I feel like the 10 times matters.
Yeah, but that's
Like-
like the.
I feel like it was more that would change it. I don't know why, but like his point is like no matter how many people you help, if you even harm one.
I wouldn't say if you harm like I would save I would save 1 million kids if 1 person was harmed. Like I'd be that person. Like I
Right.
don't care, but like I feel like the 10 times thing where it would be 1 million to 100,000, right?
Yeah.
That's too many people being harmed.
Yeah.
Violated. That's what a right is. Now, rights always have correlative duties. If one person has a right to something, it means that other people have a duty to respect that right. If I have a right to life, it means other people have a duty not to kill me, for example. What this means is that if I have a right, for instance, to not be harmed without my consent, then if somebody else does harm me without my consent, they're failing to discharge a duty. Right? They're violating my right, and they're violating their own duties. If you think that rights are genuinely inviolable in this way, then what that means is it doesn't matter how many people you're saving. You cannot harm somebody without their consent. If they genuinely have a right not to be harmed in such a manner, there's no consequence that could possibly justify violating that right, because by virtue of it being a right, there is nothing that can justify that kind of violation. Now, people who think this way
I'm
do
kinda
run
with
into
that.
problems.
I'm
For
a little
instance,
bit.
the ticking time bomb case, right? If there's one person on planet Earth who knows the location of a bomb that's about to explode in Manhattan and kill thousands of people, and the only way to extract the information of where that bomb is from them is to torture them, if somebody thinks that that person has a right not to be tortured, it means that there's no circumstance in which we can absolve ourselves of our duty not to torture them. And so by torturing them, we're doing something wrong. For a utilitarian, this is an incredibly troubling prospect, right? It's like we're really going to allow thousands of people to die, not to mention all of the property damage, just to kind of protect this one person's rights?
Yeah, that's fair.
Well, for the person who believes in rights and thinks they're genuinely inviolable, yes. And the way that someone who thinks this way would characterize the situation is they would simply say that the person whose job it is to extract the information is not responsible for the deaths of the thousands of people when the bomb finally goes off. Right? The person who is
That's what I was
responsible
saying
for those
earlier,
deaths is the terrorist who planted the bomb.
Once you
Right?
involve
The person
yourself, you become
who refuses
responsible.
to torture the man with that information is not responsible for those deaths. He's only responsible for whether or not he tortures the man with the information. The blame, that is to say, for the bomb going off lies solely with the person who planted the bomb with malicious intent. The person who refuses to violate someone's rights to stop that bomb from going off isn't responsible for the bomb going off. Now, of course, those thousands of people who will die in the bomb blast also have a right to life. And so you might ask, well, doesn't the person, by refusing to torture this one person, violate the rights of those people by allowing them to die? Well, no. When the bomb goes off and thousands of people die, those thousands of people have had their rights violated. Their right to life has been violated. But who's it been violated by? It's been violated by the terrorist who planted the bomb. Right? The person who refuses to torture the man with the information may have allowed those rights to be violated by the terrorists, but he does not himself violate those rights. He simply allows the situation to obtain in which somebody else violates their right by setting off that bomb.
Yeah,
but
for
by
sure.
allowing that situation to obtain, he has not himself violated those rights. So although we may think that from a neutral perspective, so to speak, the situation in which the bomb goes off and thousands of people die is much worse than the situation in which a single person is tortured, we're interested here in moral obligation. And if rights exist and cannot be violated ethically in any circumstance, then the person who is tasked with getting the information from the man who knows where the bomb is, and the only way they can do that is by violating his right not to be tortured, they cannot torture that man. Now, okay, let me link this back to the question at hand.
So, he's basically saying, like, morals or rights? You know, like, save...
But sometimes those things align. Like, I don't think in this situation they align. I feel like
No.
morals and rights don't align in this situation.
Right, and that's just
But
one situation he
in the
gave.
original question, it's 100,000 to 10,000. I think morals and rights both.
Yeah, so
line
I
up
think
there.
it's a situational question.
Yeah.
I don't think it's like a I'm obligated or a yes or no. I don't think it's like that. I think it's more situational.
I wonder what this guy does for a living. That
He's a
like
philosopher.
That
He
makes
does,
sense.
he does this for like a living.
That makes sense.
If this rights-based perspective really does take no account of the consequence of violating or respecting people's rights, it just says that whatever the circumstance, you need to respect this person's rights because that's what a right is, then presumably the more people's rights are violated, the worse the situation. So in the question, we're asked about the difference between harming one person and thereby probably violating some kind of right that they have to help 10 people, and violating 10,000 people's rights to help 100,000 people. Now, in the second case, the number of people helped has increased, but on this rights-based perspective, we're not taking account of the consequence. We're just taking account of our obligation not to violate the rights of innocent people. So what we essentially have is the difference between violating one person's right and violating 10,000 people's rights, and clearly the situation in which we violate 10,000 people's rights is much worse. So if you're a utilitarian, I think that the calculation comes out the same, right? If you harm one person to save 10 people, or you harm 10,000 people to save 100,000 people, because the proportion...
All right, so have we all come to a decision? Like
Yeah, is it a yes or no or like
a strongly obliged, a weakly obliged, or not obliged?
It's yes or no.
Oh well, it's yes or no. Would you help those people, Jack?
But it depends. Like 10 to 1 is different from 100,000 to 10,000.
I think you can also relate it to like a war,
Yeah.
right? Like if even make the ratio even smaller, like 100,000 for 100,000, but it's your people, right? Like if you're saving your people, but you're going to war, like they're going to war, they're harming themselves, but it's for their country.
This is where, when you involve yourself, I think that gives you the
Yeah,
obligation.
you're unconsensual.
But don't involve
yeah.
yourself, and you're good.
Yeah,
I think the responsibility lies in when you involve
Right,
yourself.
because I feel like you're what he's saying is like you unconsensually harm one person for 10 people.
Okay, so final answers. You are yes, right?
Yeah.
We need a yes or no, Alex.
Wait, yes, what?
Would you save those people?
Say what people?
Like 10
to
people
kill
for
one?
No, the 100,000 to 10,000. It doesn't matter the ratio.
Yeah.
It does matter the ratio.
Okay, but like, give us a yes or no.
Yes to 10 to 1, no 100,000.
That's not what the question is.
Okay, well, that's
All right, well, so we'll go no for him because he said no to the 10,000 to 100,000 thing. You?
I would say usually yes.
Okay.
And you?
I would say no. I think don't involve yourself. So we have a no, yes. Okay. It's a pretty good split.
Are the same, the calculation comes out the same, right? The balance of pleasure and pain is the same, and so these situations
Let's see
are
what he
morally
says.
identical. But that's because the utilitarian takes into account the consequences. But if you believe in rights, and the way that I've characterized them, that is, that they are inviolable no matter the circumstances, then I do think it would be worse to harm 10,000 people to save 100,000 people than it would be to harm one person to save 10 people. Because all we really need to take into account, insofar as someone's moral obligations are concerned, is if they violate someone's rights, and if so, how many rights do they violate? And in the smaller case, they only violate one person's right. In the larger case, they violate 10,000 people's rights. And we don't take the consequences into account. We just say that you've done something much worse by violating more people's rights than just by violating one person's rights. So if you believe in rights in this way, I think that there would be an ethical difference between these two circumstances.
Let us know how you guys would answer these questions and what you think of how we're reacting. Let us know who you thought you agreed with most. And make sure to subscribe. Bye, Goon Squad.